Social media is rarely good for anyone, at least their peace of mind. I mean, obviously, it's good for things like reaching out to people on the other side of the world, something that I certainly have done through my work interviewing people all around the world. But if you're like me and you need social media for work and you spend a lot of time in front of the computer and you either have ADHD or you think you might have it, there's a couple of things that I found useful that can help so that you don't start doom scrolling. That situation where you're lying in bed and your friend of mine actually told me this exact scenario. I thought I was the only one doing it. She said, when you're lying in bed and you have your phone on top, right? And you're just scrolling because you're lying down on a pillow. You can't really put it here. So you're here, but you're getting a bit sleepy and then, you lose the grip of your phone and it falls on your face. It hurts. It also wakes you up. But to stop doing that, now I've heard of a couple of things. I think there's an Opal app for the phone, because obviously you probably work on the phone and you probably work on the computer. For the phone, I've heard of the Opal app. I haven't used it. But what I will say I've done, and it's a lot easier and it's free, is I simply have removed all social media apps from my phone. So when I say all, I mean Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And I do need to post on those places regularly. So I just got done looking at services that allow you to post to those sites from your desktop or from your laptops. You don't need the apps in order to be able to post. Now, back in the day when I was doing this more, probably 4 years ago, as in using apps to post to desktop apps to post to social sites, there weren't as many social sites for a start. I mean, TikTok wasn't around and there wasn't much control as to making sure each piece of content looked right on each site. So for example, you could post something to YouTube or something to Facebook, let's say a video, but you couldn't change the cover image easily. So you were stuck with just a generic cover image, which often looked bad. Or you could only have the one caption. And obviously on YouTube, for example, you can have a much longer caption than you can have on Instagram or a TikTok. So I was looking at, what was I looking at? I just looked at Social Pilot. That seems to be the one that I'll be going for, and allows you to, on the paid plan, I think it's the lowest paid plan anyway, post to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, including YouTube Shorts, Pinterest, all that stuff, and really have good fine control over how the individual piece of content look on the individual sites, like picking cover images and things like that. I think it costs $40 Australian a month, but given how much time it will save me, not just in the posting of content, but not doom scrolling, then I think it's going to be worth it. And I think you can get a 14-day free trial. It's a Social Pilot. I hadn't heard of it before. I used things like I was going to say Huffer and Hootsuite, Buffer and Hootsuite before, but they seem to have gotten a lot more expensive, and I'm not sure there's any additional functionality that I would need. So that's on the phone. That's how I'm going to be trying to take care of not getting hooked into doom scrolling on my phone. Now, if you're working in front of the computer, however, it's a different story, because you're generally not using the apps, you're using a browser. So how do you stop yourself from doom scrolling on a browser? So there's this thing that someone I follow on YouTube pointed out. It's called Feed Eradicator. And it's a Chrome extension, Feed Eradicator. And when you install it on Chrome and you allow it to have access to your sites, your social sites, what it does when you go to Facebook, for example, rather than showing you that news feed, which is designed to get your dopamine flowing, and then you doom scroll, for 5 hours when you meant to only look at it for 5 minutes, it replaces it with a motivational quote. And it literally blocks the newsfeed, so you can't see the newsfeed. You can access the site, so if you want to post stuff, you want to respond to messages, you can do that, but you can't see that newsfeed of doom. So I thought that's really clever, and I've been using that ever since, and this is free, by the way. I've been using that ever since it was mentioned to me, and that's really helpful, because it literally means you can't see that doom the news feed of death. Obviously, you can turn the extension off at any time if you do need to see the news feed for some reason. But as I said, it doesn't block access to the site. It just blocks access to the news feed. So, for example, if I go to my Instagram, same thing. It's just got a motivational quote, and it doesn't allow me to see that news feed of doom. So those two things, removing my social apps on my phone and using the news Feed Eradicator extension for Chrome, have really given me a lot of peace of mind when I've been using them together. I don't always use them. Sometimes I lapse, and I just got a new computer as well. And so I just realized I needed to give Newsfeed Eradicator the permissions again to block the newsfeed. I've just done that now. But I, for one, just don't find that looking at people's social feeds generally makes me feel better. Best case, it normally gives me FOMO, or it makes me feel inadequate in the sense that I feel like I should be doing more, or I should have achieved more, because it tends to be a lot of people showing off, and it's in an unrealistic way in terms of their life actually probably doesn't look like that. They're just curating it to look like that. So I have a bit of a love-hate relationship going on with social. Like, I think it's very good, or it's necessary for business, for everyone, but I don't really enjoy social, if I'm honest. It causes me more, I'd say for me, there's more cons than pros. What I will say, things like TikTok, which have recently started using a different algorithm, this is really important for us people with either ADHD or a dopamine system that's been dysregulated or is a bit dysfunctional. Social systems in general, social media systems in general, if you haven't seen the Social Network documentary, you should see that. I think it's on Netflix. They're literally designed, there are engineers behind the scenes whose job it is to literally hijack your dopamine system so you become addicted, much like a drug or much like gambling. It's really sinister and really bad. TikTok, with their algorithms, they calculate, how long should something be on screen before it changes to keep you hooked, all that stuff. TikTok changed the game a little bit with their algorithm, though. If you remember back to Instagram really is still based on who you follow. So you open it up and you see content from people you follow. TikTok changed that, though. TikTok started showing you not the people you follow, but more so the content it thought you would like, especially on that For You page. Remember, you'd start seeing funny cat videos, at least that was for me, as I was doom scrolling, back in the pandemic. You didn't have anything else to do anyway. And that to me, I've actually found more enjoyable because it shows me stuff. It seems to have a knack for knowing what I want. YouTube is the same. If you're watching something, it will tend to queue up something very similar to it next, and then you can get just stuck in this loop. So I will say YouTube and TikTok I generally enjoy more, but that also means they're more dangerous in terms of me doom scrolling or just sitting there for hours and losing track of time. But overall, I'd happily leave social to maybe half an hour a day if I could, just because I think it really gives you this sense that you're having social interactions when you're not, and you begin ignoring people around you, the real people around you, the real relationships you could be having, the real conversations. And I've just found it to be a little counterproductive, a little echo chambery and not real. So if you're like me and you need social, but you also need your life to not be addicted to social, try removing the apps from your phone, your social apps. You can use that Social Pilot app on your desktop or laptop that I mentioned, or any other app like that, to schedule your content if you need to. And so you can still post on those apps or post on those social media sites. And then when it comes to your desktop or your laptop, try giving that Newsfeed Eradicator extension a go, because it will allow you full access to the site and it just won't show you the newsfeed so you don't get stuck doom scrolling. So let me know if you give it a go, how you get on, because I really think there's an epidemic of people addicted. They're not addicted to their phone, they're addicted to what's on their phone, and they're addicted to social apps, sometimes games as well, but for most of us it's social apps and social media. So I hope those tips help. If you have any other tips, let me know below. If you've tried that Opal app, I'd love to know how that works, because it sounds good in theory. It blocks access to your social apps, but for a certain time of the day, a certain period of time of the day. But if you need to post on those apps, then it doesn't really seem to, I don't know if it allows you to do that or not. So if you've used that app, let me know if it's worked for you. Otherwise, I'll speak to you next time.